ಜಿಯೋಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದು ಅವರು ಅನೇಕ ರೀತಿಯ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಇಡೀ ಭಾರತದ ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಭೂ ಸಂರಚನೆಗಳು ಏನಿದೆ, ಅದರ ವಿಶೇಷತೆಗಳು ಏನಿದೆ, ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂಗತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಿದಂಥವ್ರು. ಅವರು ಬರೀ ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದಂಥವರಲ್ಲ, ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಸಂಶೋಧನೆಗೆ ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಂಥವ್ರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ನೋಡಿದೆ, ಅವರು ಮಿನರಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೋರೇಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಮಿನರಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೋರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು, ಅಂದರೆ ಖನಿಜ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹುಡುಕ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು. ಭಾಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಹುಡುಕಬೇಕಾದ್ದು ಚಿನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಚಿನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹುಡುಕಿದ್ರು. ಆದರೆ ಚಿನ್ನಕ್ಕಿಂತ, ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಚಿನ್ನ ಇದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಚಿನ್ನಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಅಮೂಲ್ಯವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಸಂಶೋಧಕರಾಗಿ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು, ಶುಭ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ. In fact, I deem it a great pleasure and also a privilege given to me by inviting me to present this talk before an august audience. So here we see ಮೆನಿ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ಸ್, ಅವರವರ ಫೀಲ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ದಿಗ್ಗಜರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಉಪಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಈ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪಿ ನಾಗರಾಜ್, ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಮಿಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಉಳಿದ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್, ಮಿಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯ ಮೆಂಬರ್, ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅದರ್ಸ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈಗಷ್ಟೇ ಒಂದು ವಿದ್ವತ್ಪೂರ್ಣ ಒಂದು ಭಾಷಣವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಭಾಷಣ ಕೇಳಿದ ನಂತರ ನನಗನ್ನಿಸ್ತು, ನಾನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಥಿಯರಿಟಿಕಲ್ಗಿಂತ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಗಮನ ಹರಿಸೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೋರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎ slide show, the ground truth, what I have actually gleaned from my field work. So I will be showing that. So ಒಂದು ಅಂಕಲಿಪಿ ಸ್ವರೂಪದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಈಗ ಕರಾವಳಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಸ್ವರೂಪದ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗ ಮೊದಲಾಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. Now this is a brief outline of my talk, which will consist of the background of this subject, why this subject was chosen for today's afternoon talk, and also I will try to give you the methodology what we have utilized to study the geomorphology of the coastal area, and also what exactly we have done, what study we have done in the geomorphological area, particularly concerning the beautiful coastal tract of Karnataka. I will also try to give you the most important aspect, the newly emerging subject that is called Geo-tourism. You see, somebody may be thinking what the geologist has to do with tourism. Now, world over, there are number of scientific conferences conducted world over in the recent past, particularly China, US and other countries also. Nowadays they are conducting number of conferences, and then they are making aware of the general public how geology basically is involved in actually creating a beautiful spot which gives entertainment, and also there are a number of sports events related with the geo forms or geo features. So I think in our country also a few states like Goa and some other like some states in Uttaranchal, like Uttarakhand and others, they also actually they are developing tourism in a very big way. So I would like to draw your attention to the treasures we are having in our own state of Karnataka. Next, please. Now, while I was in Geological Survey of India for about 37, 38 years, I had the opportunity to go to nearly 14 states and 4 regions of the country. You know, it's a central government employee. Being a central government employee, we are liable to be transferred anywhere in the country or even to Andaman or Nicobar or other islands. So in this course of 37, 38 years, I happened to track many events and many processes and many features, geological features, and I also happened to work in Karnataka state. So about 13, 14 projects I have conducted, major projects. Previous slide. So this number 4, that is practically the speaking. Next. So this 4 you can see here, that is essentially the area I am going to talk about, that is the coastal Karnataka. Next one. Now, what is the importance of studying geomorphology or coastal geomorphology? Now I'll tell you the significance. As you know, the coastal area or the coastal tract is the junction of many spheres. Not only the lithosphere, we have biosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. All these spheres are coming in contact with each other. There is a lot of interaction taking place between these spheres. So that way it is a very, very important contact zones wherein many of the geological activities and many other activities also take place. Now, I told you that the objectives of this investigation was basically to map the various land features or the geomorphic landforms which are occurring in the coastal area. Coastal area is a very complicated area in the sense that I told you already the 4 spheres are interacting with each other and producing many number of geological features and other biota and hydrosphere, also many water bodies, and also there is an interaction always between the coastal water, that is your salt water and the fresh water. There is always an interaction taking place in these aspects. So they produce certain landforms. Now we have to genetically classify. As you know, everybody understands geography. So what is geomorphology? Geomorphology is actually the systematic study of various landforms or the various earth features. It is nothing but the architecture of the earth. As we can see the architecture of a face, so that is the architecture of the part of the earth itself. Now in this case it is the coastal geomorphology or the coastal architecture. The various landscapes what we meet with when we just travel in those areas. So I also give other aspects. Now I will also come to the land use management, how this coastal land is so very important for us strategically speaking, and also for industry, setting up of industries, and it is the gateway of trade and commerce with other countries and all that. Next. Now these are the 8 to 9 states in India which are having the coast. It covers almost 14% of the geographical area, and 20% of India's population thrive on the coast. As you know, the water bodies are the cradles of the civilization. See, today also you can see that most of the metropolis, they are situated by the coast. For example, our Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta, Mangalore and so many other cities, they are actually thriving on the coast for obvious reasons. There are many advantages on thriving in the coast. So we will come to that a little later. As you can see, now if you take a satellite picture, you can see that the southern part of the country is exposed here. So right west of Bangalore we have the study area, that is the Mangalore, and that the entire red zone is nothing but the greenery. The Western Ghats greenery is represented in red color, The intensity of red color shows the amount of greenery which is present in that part. So, whereas in Bangalore you see that there is hardly any greenery left as compared to the Western Ghats. So the other part is actually light yellowish or bluish color. Some parts they are all built up land and also the semi-arid country where vegetation is very poor. Next one please. Now this is the, specifically this is the study area of the present talk. As you can see, here we present the entire coastal tract, that is the shoreline. You can see the coastal plain of Karnataka is almost like 270 kilometer long and 3 to 7 kilometer wide and comprises open stretch of beaches intermittently interrupted by west flowing rivers and streams. There are a number of streams which we will talk about, and a series of townships are developed on this, and there are many very interesting and also very prosperous places are there along the coast because of its situation. The coastal tract between Karwar and Mangalore is remarkably straight and narrow, trending north-northwest, south-southeast, parallel to the Darwinian structural guide. These are the geological terms which we normally use, how that geology has shaped this coast and also this part of the land. Next. Now I try to place the satellite data, which is very useful now. It has really, it has revolutionized our geomorphological study of any part of the country, particularly the geomorphology. So I try to place before, side by side, the actual drainage pattern, what we have gleaned from the topo sheets and other records available, and the actual picture, which gives actually a very clear-cut idea about the distribution of the vegetation and non-vegetated areas, water bodies and many other parts. As you can see here, Mangalore, Udupi, Kundapur and Karwar. So these are beautifully carved out and it can be compared nicely. Then we have the Western Ghats to the eastern side of the map shown here. Next one. Now regional morphotectonic setup. As you can see, I think you might have heard about the plate tectonics theory, and particularly the drifting of the land, the Gondwana land and all that. Breaking up of the Pangaea, that was the supercontinent which was broken down into Gondwana land, the southern continent comprising India, South Africa, America, Australia and New Zealand. So this happened some 250 million years ago, and after that they slowly drifted and then occupied the more or less the present shape. So that way this contact zone, that coastal part of Karnataka, is a very strategically important plate boundary, you can say, in a sense. Afterwards there is one more breakup which will come a little later. So there are, if you take a cross section, a simple cartoon like this, you can see that there are basically three parts. If you take a cross section, the Western Ghat Hills, then we have the 100-meter surface is there, which is basically laterite. Laterite is what you call Jambitge. Jambitge everybody knows. If you go towards Mangalore and other Karwar area, you find that here we use granite and gneisses for construction purposes. There they use the brick, laterite brick, which is naturally occurring there, which is actually a weathered product of the rock. So as you come down 100 meter, then a step down 60 meter, 40 meter and then 20 meter. These are all the levels which was created by the sea, in fact, which was occurring in the past up to the foothills of the Western Ghats. Slowly the sea has receded, and parallelly the land also got uplifted due to neotectonic movements at different periods of the geological history. Now as you come down, you can see the Netravati river is shown here. Then from Netravati river, we have some beach ridges and the shoreline comes. So this is essentially, in short, how the physiography is situated in that part. Next one. Now anybody who has traveled in Mangalore area would see that you have actually a step up, a kind of a plateau surface on which you get mostly the buildings and other things, structures. So about 20 meter step down you see the paddy fields. So these are different landforms which are actually naturally carved by the interaction of river and also the gravity movement. Sorry. So you find the laterite surface which is shown like this. So you have the paddy field, the different level. Like this we have several levels toward the Western Ghats. Next one. Now we have used the latest technology for mapping these areas. As geologists we are supposed to cover each and every area, take traverses. It is mostly footwork. So in my 38 years of geological service, almost half of the period, almost 18-19 years, I used to be in the jungles. Go to the areas, different areas, collect samples, and then take the notes, collect various types of samples and other things, and then note down, and then prepare a map along with the report we are supposed to submit after every field season. So we have used some of the latest satellite data which gives a high resolution and from which most of the data, particularly the topographic details, etc., can be compared, and we can prepare a pre-field sort of map which gives about 60-70% of the data which is related to the XYZ of the area, the coordinates and all that. And then we have to do the field work, we have to check and see whether the classification of different landscapes, they are okay or not. And then not only that, we have to see what is lying below that, what is the constitution of each of these landform feature. Next. Now geomorphology, as I told you, which is nothing but the architecture of the earth, has many application areas. In fact, it is the basic science, you can say, basic geological science, you can say, which is useful for environmental students, the geographers, and also even for land use planning. Land use planning for infrastructure development. You want to drive a tunnel, you have to see the geomorphology. Even for groundwater exploration and also highways, you see, and then many other areas, even agriculture, pedology, and there are certain minerals associated with certain geomorphic forms, like your laterite or bauxite. They are associated directly. By seeing the form and the situation, we can say, we can expect that possibly the bauxite may be available there. And in the case of coast, we can see that the beach sands may be having some atomic minerals, and other abrasive minerals may be associated with that. So like that, we are trained in this way. By seeing the landform itself, the characteristics are it comes out, and then by doing that, we will be able to say which mineral may be there, or this particular feature is suitable for what purpose, how to utilize that land, piece of land in a scientific way, in an optimum way. Next. So this is actually a coastal area. As you can see, directly the rocks are exposed on the coastal side. So in the case of ocean, you have three aspects which are interacting: the waves, the tides, and the currents. These produce actually our beach and other beach forms. There are several beach forms are there. So it is the interaction of these three forces, the waves, the currents, and the tides, which control the geomorphology along the coast. Next one. Now, when we talk about the landform or a land feature, we have two types basically speaking. That is, one is a erosional landform. that is actually a destructional landform because of certain changes taking place, erosion of soil and other aspects, denudational aspects. Some of the surfaces which are naturally there, they get degraded or they get dissected in course of time. So likewise in the coastal tract, you can see the sea cliffs are there. Some places you get rock boulders or sea cliffs are there. Suddenly you get actually like Suratkal beach and all, if you have visited, you will see that in Goa also. There are directly mounds and hills are there by the side of the shoreline. Wave cut bench. Then marine terraces are formed. Some leveled areas which are mostly constituting sand, silt, clay and other aspects. So these things, they give a plain-like thing, just like a football ground or a very leveled kind of feature they give. They are nothing but the terraces which can be found even along the river bank also. Next. Now, as you can see, some of the marine erosion features are there. You can see the land, there is a Zuari river is there, a little north of the Konkan area. Then right here itself, you can see that the boundary between the land and the coast is zigzag. It is because of the waves action sometime in the past. You can see some curvilinear lines and all that. It is all the result of the waves which have created such notches and bays and things like that. Next one. Now, as I already told to some extent, geomorphology is a branch of geology which deals with the study of landscapes and landforms, their description, classification, origin, development, and also history of planation surfaces. So it's very important for geologists and other people, engineers, civil engineers particularly. They have to look for the geomorphology. They want to go for a dam or a reservoir and all that. So they definitely consult the geologists or the geological maps and reports and try to give any correct picture about whether it can hold sufficient amount of water in the reservoir, whether there are other hidden weak zones where there is a possibility of leakage underground without our seeing that part. So underground there may be some channels or sometime it may collapse also. So all these aspects we start from geomorphology first, then go into the geological aspects, that is what is below the ground. Next. So coastal geomorphology, as I told you, we have fluvial geomorphology along the rivers we study. The glacial geomorphology may be there in the mountains above 6,000 feet level where we have the permanent snow line and all that. And then we have actually Aeolian, the sand dunes are there if you go to the desert area. So here we have actually a complicated geomorphology along the coast where there is the interaction of different agencies. Next one. So this is actually a satellite picture which gives a very regional view of a major part of our Karnataka, Plateau, Western Ghats, the coastal area, the Netravati river, the coastal plain, dissected hills and everything. Kudraimukh area is shown there. Linganamakki reservoir, the dark colored patch right on top. That is the Linganamakki reservoir and all that. So we get quite a good amount of information from this satellite data, which actually every mission of ISRO is coming out with a good resolution so that different land use or land cover aspects are clearly brought out. But you require a trained geologist to decode all this information. It is only in the form of colors and shapes and sizes. A geologist can easily make out what is what, which color or which shape is what. So that way we are trained nicely in the laboratory and also ground checked and all that. Several trials and tribulations we make, and then try to prepare a map and then go to the field area, how much it is matching with our interpretation we do during the field work by staying in the camps and others in the jungles and all that. Nowadays, of course, situation has slightly improved, but still in Arunachal Pradesh, where I used to work, and many other border areas, border states, still the area is uninhabited. Hardly any people. In 60-70 kilometers, if you just ride, you don't see a single soul. Forget about a coffee shop or anything. 60-70 kilometers you drive in the jungle, nothing will be there except some wild animals here and there. You don't get anything. Even you have to go without food, without coffee, without anything, and do the field work there. That is the type of work geologists are supposed to do. In fact, it is equal to a soldier's job. Anyway, I am not praising myself as a geologist, but that is the type of profession. After doing MSc and PhD and all that, you are left in the jungles to fend for yourself. Anyway, now coming to the aspect, as you see the other side of the Kudremukh, or as you go Gundia and then further down, you get a sudden scarp towards that 700-meter steep fall, lofty fall is there, which is you are entering into the coastal area. That is your Karavali Pradesha. So we are all on the bettad melgade avaru, bettad kelagade avaru. So that is the kind of normal talk is there. So this gives a beautiful picture. If you have to take actually a cross section, ಒಂದು ಸೀಳು ನೋಟ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಚೆನ್ನೈಯಿಂದ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಂದ ಸಕಲೇಶ್ಪುರದಿಂದ ಕುದುರೆಮುಖ ಪೀಕ್, ದೆನ್ a sudden fall of 700 meters to 1000 meters fall is there. There you land on the coastal plain. That is all your laterite surface, and then further down only you get the coastal alluvial plain, where you get soft sediments deposited by the waves as well as by the river. So this is the clear cut. It's a perspective what you obtain when you take the height into consideration and then go on plotting it, and then this is the picture you get, from which you can make out what is what, which side is the slope, which side is the plateau, which side is the plain land, and all those things. So next one please. Now I try to just go a little more into the details, and then those yellow lines are nothing but the weak zones in the strata. Probably those of you who have monitored the 2018 rains, very heavy rains in Kerala and some part of Chikmagalur and all that, there used to be cloud burst. During that time, even some of the guddgalella kustu, Chikmagalur suttamutta ella gudda ella kustu. Why it has happened, if you try to analyze actually, a geologist has an answer that there are some weak zones in those areas, and because of the saturation, full saturation of the entire overburden as well as the soil layers, so the entire land becomes slippery, and then the entire thing, there is a landslide taking place in those areas. When once the threshold for the slope, there is a threshold for any material to stand on its own. If you cross the threshold, it will fall. So it is assisted by water. Lot of water was there, pore pressure is there. So the entire mountain there, it just slided. So I tried to plot those. So Bantwal is this side, Uppinangadi, Netravati river, then Gundia, and then your Gorur dam on the easternmost side, that black patch is there. Then there is a Hemavati lineament is there, which is a major weak zone, along which sometimes if earthquake happens, these are the areas which are disturbed most. Then there are also some faults there near Sakaleshpura, where near that Ettinahole project and other things, the government was contemplating to bring water from Ettinahole river by lifting it and then bring it to Tumkur and other past areas of southern Karnataka. So until you have a clear picture of the ground, the geomorphology, the weak zones, the nature of the rocks, and other parameters, associated parameters, you would not be able to make any civil structure, any infrastructure, any major infrastructure will be very difficult to sustain unless you have thoroughly identified all these weak zones and geological features, and also the overburden thickness, the soil thickness, and the groundwater and other aspects. Geomorphology is one major aspect, but there are many associated aspects which a geologist is supposed to do when an area is being investigated for any major civil engineering project. Now coming to the geomorphic landforms, as I told you, there are several terminologies. I think this slide will be here only. If anybody is interested, they can go through it in leisure. I will tell only the outlines. Now you have a coast terminology there. That is, the land bordering the sea includes all those surfaces modeled conspicuously by the wave recently. Shore, then shorelines. So these are very important because we have many paleo shorelines indicating the earlier waterline of the Arabian Sea. So geologists, they don't study only the present. They study the past, which is the key to the future. So you also actually predict what is going to happen in the future by studying the past. So present is the key to the past. Rather, the past is the key to the future also. If you go in a proper manner, that is how we predict the trends of a river movement. Where will be the fracture, where will be the weak zone, which side the river will move. I think in southern India we are not so familiar with the migration of the river. You go to Brahmaputra, you go to Ganga. Today the river course is here, tomorrow it will be like in this direction. So there may be a town which may be completely smashed by the river. So again it might retreat halfway. So again there may be some other direction it will go, depending on the earthquake and other features. Nowadays anthropogenic activities also taking place, like mining and other things, which also actually disturb the natural ecosystem, river movement and river flow and many various aspects. Next. So these are marine erosional landforms, like sea cliff, wave cut bench, marine terrace, wave cut notch, and many other features. I will not go into the theoretical details. I will show you pictures. I think you can appreciate much better by seeing the picture yourself. Next. Now these are already I have shown. Next one. Now you see the waves come and dash. ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. The waves come, go. So it goes on happening. Suppose you have a hard rock there, no problem. A wave will cut through. It will make some caves, it will make some voids and features, and like after some time the whole hill will collapse. One side of the hill may collapse. So on the right hand side you can see some cave formations are there. So I have observed in Goa, particularly around Karwar also, number of similar caves are there at a height of 8 meters, 10 meters, and in the east coast also I have observed near Visakhapatnam, there are caves at 36 meters, which indicate that the sea level was 36 meters once upon a time. So these are our clues. We get a lot of clues and evidences to know the trend which was present at that time. So we can see how many times the sea level has gone up or gone down, and then in future what is going to happen. Next. Okay, these are geomorphological features of coastal deposition. So deposition means waves will be bringing lot of sediments, rivers are bringing lot of sediments, they have to ultimately dump by the side of the sea. So they collect every year, some deposition is taking place, and then it gets built to a sizable extent. It make a platform like thing. So here you can see some beautiful beaches are there. This is at the southern side, Someshwara beach south of Mangalore, and a little north of that place we have a very smooth beach, mostly with sand. And here we have some rocky boulders also in the background. Next. I'll go a little fast, I think time is ticking away. So next. So there are various shapes of beaches. This is one beautiful pocket beach or the crescent-shaped beach, which is due to the wave action, as well as the rocks are very strong on either side. You see that the softer rock gets crushed and it is taken or engulfed in the sea water, and such crescent-shaped beaches are formed. So you can see how many people are enjoying there, the tourists in that beach area. And here there is a tilting of the material. A bed was there, a shell bed was there. It got tilted because of a fault. A fault is nothing but displacement of a block along a line, along a linear surface. So it may get readjusted like that, or it may move like this. Two blocks may move like this, or it might get, or it may get tilted also. So there are bars and spits. Sometimes you have that kind of hooks will be formed. So there are various shapes and sizes of bars and spits. Bar is not the bar what normally we talk about. Here it is a sandbar. It is a submerged under sea water. Sometimes it obstructs the movement of ships and boats. You see, there will be submerged sand, linear shaped sand deposition under the water. These are bars. But if it is connected to the land, it is called a spit. So these are the things which are very important, particularly inland navigation or ports and harbors and all that area. These are the things which are of a lot of significance. Next. Next. Bays and lagoons. I think you have heard about bays and lagoons. These are all some forms, the seawater. Sometimes they encroach on the land itself in the form of a funnel. Next. So these are tidal flat and mangrove swamps. Mangrove vegetation, I think everybody knows about the mangrove vegetation. It grows in salt water. The peculiar structure is there. So that is how the roots are actually seen there on the surface. So they breathe through those roots. So some places the mangrove vegetation they work like a bulwark. It's a cushion which prevents actually coastal erosion. We have seen along Ullal and many other places, some of the houses are actually attacked by the sea waves in the mid of the night when during cyclone and other time. So it gets the whole house is taken away into the bowels. Next. So these are mangrove swamps, pisciculture farms north of Kundapur. You see those are beautiful mangrove vegetation coming up. Here you have actually some aeration is there. This prawn culture is taking place. So this area is actually very prosperous. The entire coast is so prosperous in very many ways. Every inch of land is so fertile and it is so much used for some purpose or the other, so that the prosperity is very much there. Next. So these are salt flat and salt pans and other things, tidal flats. So tides come and go. So they leave some pools of water. The water on evaporation becomes salt. So most of the salt is natural salt is manufactured here along the coastal area. Next. These are some more beaches, beautiful beaches. This is a typical coastal scene. If you travel north of Kundapur area, this side, the back side is yours. Sahyadri mountains, clothed with greenery, and then we have actually a lot of coconut and other things. Next. Now this is one map, of course a little old map. I couldn't access a new map. This is Karwar area. I have prepared a geomorphological map showing many different landforms of fluvial origin, marine origin, fluvio-marine origin, as well as eolian. Sometime during the arid periods, when the sea level went down, that is 18,000 years back, there was a about 100 years of drought, very severe drought. Aeolian activity started. Actually, a lot of wind blowing and the sands were lifted and then thrown to the hinterland and all that. So that kind of features also we have noted here. So all these aspects are mapped here in a very detailed. It is mapped to the scale, mapped to a certain scale, which normally is the way we geologists do a map in that area. Next. So we have one special terminology called terrace. River terrace means actually T0, what I have written there, that is the present day river bottom or the river river where the river is flowing. Then during the flood time, the T1 surface is deposited with lot of sediments, with some grass and other thing. Then there is a T2 there above, which was the past valley floor of that river. So that was a geological period, maybe Pleistocene period, maybe 500,000 year old, where you have a permanent vegetation. So like that, these are all stepped terraces, or this valley plain of the valley floor of the river of a particular period. So these are all, it's a beautiful Netravati terrace which is cut, and there is a lot of clay, beautiful clay is there for brick making. You are also heard about Mangalore tiles, which was very famous earlier days. Now the quantity of material is diminished, and nowadays not much of Mangalore tile is being used. Of course it is used for decoration purposes only locally. So otherwise you see that there is a lot of material, construction material is there for various purposes, then masonry work and for other purposes also you have material available there, the earth is there. They try to actually fill up some marshy areas, and then on that they bring out the structures, houses, etc. Next. Now we also have actually tried to study some samples for the age of that formation or the landform. Our job is also to find out how old it is, how old a geological feature is, or how old a sedimentary layer is. So we have different methods. You may be knowing those who are science backing, that carbon 14 dating and other, so many methods are there useful. So we have dated also, and we found that at least 30,000 years before present, we have some evidences that the sea level was at a particular place. Say 3 kilometers east of Kundapura, we had that shoreline was there at that time, 30,000 years before present. So we could date those events and also the processes. Next. So I will not go into the details. Major sphere of anthropogenic activities along the coast, so many are there, including military and other strategic areas. And now we have added actually geotourism also. Now this is actually the shells, broken shells, such heavy quantity of shells are there, sea shells, which can be burnt into quicklime. They are pure calcium carbonate. Next. So this is another brick industry. Next. This is sand mining, which is very familiar. You see these are sand dunes which are extensively mined along the coastal area. And then this is a satellite imagery showing Kasargod, not Kasargod, there is another Kasargod near Honavar. This is actually this belt. We found some beach places, heavy minerals, ilmenite. Basically ilmenite, good concentration, up to 15% ilmenite we got concentration. So we did investigate this area for ilmenite and other placer deposits. This is another map showing coastal hazards. I think you will be able to recognize the two arrows, double-headed arrows, which are the areas where sea erosion is very severe. We have marked all those areas. We have gone to the individual areas and see that these are the areas which are prone for sea erosion. So a district administration can take an alert and see that those areas are protected, because there are fishermen mostly, the very poor people are thriving in those areas. So some adequate protection has to be given from washing away of their shelters and all that. So this is another area where I have prepared a geomorphological map. We have our own coding. On the basis of that, the entire area, this is more or less about 10,000 square kilometer area is covered in this degree sheet, which has been mapped first by other methods like satellite data, aerial photographs, mosaics and all that, then field checked. Next. So coastal landforms are important sources of the following economic industrial minerals. I have already told you the construction material is plenty, but we have to utilize in a very sensible manner. Next. Now one aspect I must tell you, how a geomorphology or a geology helps in laying a corridor. For example, the West Coast corridor, that is the highway, is laid essentially on a old beach which was 200 meters wide. All along, about 20 to 200 kilometers you drive, they have made that as the base foundation for the highway. I checked in many places. I found that there is a perfect match between the landform and the land use. So geology is like this, geomorphology is like this, land use has to be like this. So if you want to take a highway, you want to take a railway, that Konkan railway also passes along that. You want to drive a tunnel, you want to make a bridge, so you go by the geological, what it dictates, what is the geology and geomorphology dictate there. Unless until you take adequate care. Now Bangalore Metro is there, Bangalore Metro tunnel, it is causing sometimes 2 years delay, 3 years delay and all that. Why? Because there are unsurmountable problems which are occurring below the ground, which a common man doesn't understand, he only says why there is a delay. So there are number of factors, unknown factors, and all these events have happened long past, not today. So it requires a thorough study by a geologist, by sometimes drilling also at suitable places to find out what is below, what is the characteristics of the rock below, what is the hydrostatic pressure there, what is the condition of the rock, whether fresh or like that. So here they have taken that pipeline along the same old beach ridge. These pipelines are taken essentially on a similar type of material. So this is sustaining. From Mangalore chemicals and fertilizer factory, the pipelines are laid up to the place where the water is pumped, sweet water is pumped to the factory and all that. So we have to be very worried about all this. Next. Now this is another place I try to see along the highway what is the material. Same material. If you dig through, you find that it's a linear one, 200 meter wide, going 200 kilometers, except some wherever the rivers are crossing, they have eroded it. Otherwise, it's the same material. So they have understood. The British were there, but surveyors were local surveyors. They have found which is the best corridor for laying the highway along the Konkan coast. Next. So these are some of the places where Itta Dari, Atta Puli is something like that. One side is the river, Kolluru river is there, the Kolluru Mukambike, that Kolluru. And then this side is the Arabian Sea. So there is a narrow corridor left for the highway. So these sea waves are attacking the highway. That side, Kolluru river is taking a turn, meandering. So that is also eroding. So it is precariously hanging, sandwiched between two water bodies. So this is the condition of the highway. To protect the highway from erosion, they are taking, civil engineers are taking all possible remedies, but still it is under threat. Highway is under threat. So this is Ullal beach area where erosion is taking place. So they are using what is called geotextiles. some measures they are using to control the sea erosion. Next. Then there are sea level changes, as I told you. There is global warming effect which is talked about. So in case the global warming continues like this, the sea levels will rise. Once the sea level rises, then your sweet water will be attacked and there will be mixing of salt water and sweet water, and there will be a lot of problem for drinking and other purposes. Accordingly, the biota also changes, the land changes, your agriculture changes, everything changes. Many things along the coast changes. How much of sea level rise will affect which area, we can calculate, we can predict, so we can prepare maps, we can alert the authorities, civic authorities. Next. So I told you these dashed lines are nothing but the old shorelines. So 3 to 4 shorelines are there. Based on our geological evidences, we found that the seashore was at 4 to 5 places. Means 4 to 5 kilometers it was inland. Then it was compared to the present. So in between also there were various stages. So sea level definitely may change in future also. As geologists we know this global warming and all is a present day word, buzzword. But in the past, in the geological past, there were several periods of dryness, drought situations, heavy rainfall, and temperature variations and all have taken place. It is there indented in our layers of rock in the form of fossils and many other effects in the layers of rock which we can glean. This is actually iron ore mine which was there, and that is the coastal area, that Kasaragod beach area where we have the placer deposit. Next. Now I come to the important aspect, geotourism. It's a fascinating track, that entire 270 kilometer track along the coastal area, right from Talapadi, that is the junction of Kerala and Karnataka. Right from there, you go to Karwar and then even little beyond. It's a beautiful landscape, very beautiful. It will be invigorating kind of climate, though it is little sultry, but you see that greenery is there, so much of greenery is there. The entire area is vibrant. People are also vibrant. They are not somaris. They are very active people, very intelligent people. And the land is also very fertile. And a variety of landforms, variety of sceneries, natural sceneries are there. It will be a really pleasure-giving journey if you go along the coastal area. So I have just prepared actually. Recently I had an opportunity of conducting one travels for the international delegates, that is IGC 2020, where 130 countries had registered for the conference in Delhi, which came after 56 years gap. International Geological Congress. During that period, we prepared some tour programs where that foreign delegates can be taken. This was one I selected and prepared accordingly for this. So there are 4 phases I have made. I just quickly go through and then I will say goodbye to you. Okay, now start from Someshwara temple, right on the Ullal and other places south of Mangalore. You have many places. Ullal beach is there, summer sands. Then Kadri section, right near Mangalore, we have Pilikula Nisargadhama. And then if you go a little eastward, we have the Netravati river with the terraces and beautiful meanders and all that you can see. So I have put up some photographs there, ground photographs. The Someshwara beach. This is another photograph nearby. So the beautiful landscape is there, beach. You can take bath and you can just roll around with children and all that. Beautiful. Next. You can see how people are enjoying those areas. Now the next part is Suratkal. Then the Bengre beach is there, summer sand. Then Kop lighthouse. Then that Manipal area, Kedure hotels, etc. You see that that boulder is there, rock boulder is there with a number of shells. Marine organisms are attached to the boulders and all that. So you can see there St. Mary Island is seen right in the ocean, small portion. You can see that St. Mary Island is seen 3 kilometers from the Ullal beach. Sorry, it is actually Malpe beach near Udupi. Next. This is actually the St. Mary Island, which is one of the attractive tourist places. It is a geotourism place. Why? Because here geology has manifested itself into a beautiful columnar structure. So anybody who can remember Nakonli Nako Nakarli Ento, that film, you see it was shot here on these columns. So it's such a beautiful place. One can go, there is a boat service available, and then it's a 3 kilometer, 20 minutes journey by boat. The beautiful sea breeze will be there, it will be entertaining, so you will get invigorated. Then go to that area. It's also called Coconut Island. It's a linear 300 meter wide, about 800 meter long island, where you can see many interesting structures like these columns. These are all natural columns given the gift of geology. And there you see the other side of the island, as you can see Coconut, other side, you have a beautiful, safe beach where you can enjoy. Next.
It's a National Geological Monument.
Yeah, I'll just tell that. I'll just tell that. So you see, if you take a planar surface, you just cut it horizontal, you get those jointed lava in this form, hexagonal shape. So it is because of the subaerial volcanic eruption and then sudden cooling which has given rise to this hexagonal cracks, joints, and that is how the columns are formed. Next one. Now this same area, I shot it about 20 years back. This one going into the water on the western side, it was actually a slanting sun. So you got such a picturesque photograph of this columnar jointed blocks. This is declared as the National Geological Monument by Geological Survey of India. I think this was the first one to be declared as National Geological Monument. So you have such beautiful places. Next. Now this is another wonderful place to visit. This is Yana structure. They are the vertically laying rocks, actually what we call hogback in our terminology. This is limestone with silica. A lot of silica is there and magnesium is there. So it's quite hard. In spite of that, there is a solution activity which is going on. So caves have developed. Number of caves have developed. It is 25 kilometers from Kumta. 25 kilometers inland from Kumta, where you can enjoy. I encountered some tourists from France visiting these places. So this is also a religious place where some particularly during Shivratri and all, there is a congregation of people. So this is Bhairaveshwara, this is Bhairava Shikara, and that is Mohini Shikara. These two are very fantastic geological stones, vertically standing rock formations. One can really enjoy here. They can go right up to this place, except 1 kilometer you have to walk through the jungle. There is a wildlife is there. It's a beautiful area. This is another geotourism spot where wildlife is to be protected. Then now you go further up, further north, you have the Om beach, and then you have the Kudle beach is there near Gokarna, and these are also very beautiful places. You stand up and then see the sea downwards, and then there are cliffs are there, the beautiful forms are there. So these are all the places where one can really enjoy and then forget about the mundane problems. Next. So these are, this is a Murdeshwara. Murdeshwara is, temple is situated right on a geological formation called, we say Tombola. Tombola is a particular type of, it's a name given to an island which is connected to the land. A spit is connecting to the land, and that is how it is anchored there. There is also a very large, very sound stone, rather a bouldery kind of thing, natural one, where the temple is anchored, and all around you can see some nice places. And right near to that, there is Netrani, one place is there, one can go for actually scuba diving. Recently, they have started scuba diving, and all these locations are basically investigated by the geologists whether it is having sufficient depth, and where there are some knolls and boulders and all, where you can see the fishes. They play variety of fishes, different colors, and many other marine animals can play there. So scuba divers can see all those aspects. They can see the caves are there, so many crevasses are there, the variety of fishes, schools of fishes. So all these things, there is a provision for all these things. So you go there, and then you have the scuba diving and snorkeling and other sports. Next. This is one very old village headman's house, very large one, which is protected. So these are our traditional homes. Earlier days, they used to have such beautiful buildings, very environmental friendly, and these are really greenhouses. So this is how one can enjoy by going and then traveling there. Next. I am coming to the conclusion, the last part. So geomorphology is only one aspect I have covered in this lecture, but there are many other associated things we have done while the project was on. That is the geology part, the structural part, and the mineral aspects, and the environmental aspect, then the environmental hazard aspect. Many other things, connected things we have studied. So geomorphology I try to present before you as much as possible. So we have studied the evolution of the coast. So only one point I must tell you here. The present day coast is the result of the last 2 million years. Most of the present day coast what we see is the product of last 2 million years. Prior to that, many changes have taken place. I have told you, breaking of Gondwana land, then Madagascar got separated at 98 million years when that St. Mary Island got into prominence, that volcanic material. Then after that, there were several, sea level was down, sea level was up, sea level was in the middle, sea level was somewhere there, and presently sea level is here. So many episodes of geological process have taken place, and the last 2 million years, more or less, the coast is similar. Probably it was more beautiful before the man arrived. Now, because of the interference of the human beings, the coast has a little bit deteriorated. Nevertheless, it's a fascinating area. I have enjoyed. I think you will also enjoy. With these few words, I thank you all for your attention. Actually, it is time is running out. I was also in a little hurry to finish. In the midday, it's very hot summer, Bangalore. Anyway, I hope at least a few things I could convey. Now, I would like to say that these are some of my publications which have been actually appreciated by many people, scholars and all that. And this is my recent publication, Nanapina Nikshepa. 60 years of my life, professional life is very much there. So I have only 3 copies here. If anybody is interested, they can collect it. And this international publication, this field guide, which the International Geological Congress, Delhi has actually published this. I am donating it to the library, Mythic Society Library. So entire thing is there about what I have talked and more than that. So with all that, so this I am handing over to the President the Mythic Society, which will be in their library. Anybody wants to see can see this one.